Dean Cain, it's always great to see you. You have a new film, Little Angels, that we're going to be talking about today. But before we get there, I have got to start with Hate Among Us, which is actually a documentary you were involved in a few years back, well before October 7th. In light of the fact that these are issues that you are passionate about, fighting the hate among us, what has it been like to watch not only obviously October 7th, but this radical increase in anti-Semitism that we're seeing across the globe?
Well, it feels insane to me, because if you watch the documentary, which we won an Emmy for, it's you just see people who were just like, why do you hate me? What are you doing? What's going on? We were talking about the rise in Europe. We were talking about the rise of anti-Semitism in the United States, California, places I'm from. And it's just crazy, because you go back through history, and I was a history major, and you go, why didn't anybody stop the Nazis in 1930? It seems so impossible, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then you look at what people are doing today. You look what people are saying today. It's insane to me. It's one of those things that, I could rack my brain for hours and not come up with an explanation. It's hate. And what I always said about hate is it's taught. And part of the big problem with the Israel and Gaza issue is that all of the people in Gaza have been, well, I can't say all, but the majority of people in Gaza have been radicalized. They're taught on TV every day to hate Jews. They're taught that they drink the blood of Arabs, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, and of anybody who's Islamic or whatever the case is. It's crazy stuff they're being taught, but it's being taught by UNRWA, which we funded. So that kind of stuff just kills me. It's the hypocrisy of it all. So it's even like what's going on in LA right now. Those riots that are happening in LA are not organic. They're not organic. They are paid for. People, our tax money, California people's tax money has gone to pay for the organizations like Chirla and things like that are running these things. And to think otherwise is insanity. Fortunately, with the internet now, we can get that word out there. We can get the word out and ply through and put information out that normally the mainstream media would stop you from seeing. Like what's going on, like the Greta Thunberg ridiculous flotilla to try to get less than one truck worth of aid in through the flotilla into Gaza. You're not getting in there. It's a publicity stunt. It's stupid. And you're focusing on the wrong things. How about go try to get back the hostages that were taken? Right. The things that blow my mind is like October 7th, we were warning about things like this in the documentary. We talk about it. It's exploding because it's taught. And those people that went through and just mercilessly killed kids, civilians up it's crazy and barbaric. And if you watch those 45 minutes, which I haven't seen, I've seen parts of it, of the atrocities committed on October 7th, it's insane. And people are yelling, well, it's not a proportional response. Listen, you take my son or you injure my son, the response won't be proportionate. I will annihilate you. End of story.
Also, you have a country surrounded by nations that have repeatedly said they want to see it destroyed, right?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's like at some point it becomes a self-preservation quest, especially when you have an invasion like October 7th that was so horrific. Not only are people saying it, now they're actually taking action to do it, right? So it is interesting because what do people, if somebody was going to surround your house, Dean, right? And I'm going to kill your family, I'm going to kill your son, I'm going to kill you. And then they start to try to break in. What are you supposed to do at that point?
Obliterate them.
That's what people are going to do. They're going to protect themselves.
And that's what's happening. And that's what Israel is surrounded with. I mean, listen, nobody talks about that Gaza has a very large border with Egypt. Go to Egypt. Why won't Egypt? Why won't the Egyptians let you in? Because they've been radicalized like crazy. Get rid of Hamas. Give back the hostages. Hamas, everybody lay down your arms. It's over. Rebuild God. By the way, have you been out to Israel and been out to that area? It's absolutely gorgeous. It's incredible. I mean, I know President Trump, he has a way of saying things that are quite funny sometimes, but like turning it into this gorgeous, beachfront oasis kind of a thing. He has a point in that it is gorgeous territory. It's gorgeous land. Spending time on the Israeli coast and right there, by God, I mean, it's incredible. But they turned it into, they spent the money, all the aid and things on building tunnels and fomenting hate and trying to kill Israelis. It's insane to me. And again, we warned about a lot of it. But it comes down to this. I think hate is taught. It's not that they're just reacting to their neighbors and blah, 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 blah. Because there are plenty of Muslim Arabs that live in Israel and have full rights and vote and or parliament, you name it, the Knesset. Absolutely. LGBTQ people. This is the one that gets me worse than anything. It's like gays for Palestine. It is Kentucky. It is chickens for Kentucky Fried Chicken. I mean, you can't, if you went in there and said, I'm gay and blah, 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 they're going to kill you. Period.
Well, but it's interesting because the issue you're bringing up too is that people have been brainwashed, right? That live, and you see this in some of the polling data because there has been polling data, substantial proportions. I don't have it in front of me, but people living in that area not even believing that October 7th happened,
of course,
thinking that it was Israel's fault. I mean, that is evidence of people being deprived of information. They don't know what's going on, and you have Hamas to thank for that, right? They're brainwashing the people there,
and not just Hamas, but it goes outside of that. Outside and you see this crazy propaganda. That's why that 47 minutes of footage is tremendously important. It's huge to see that stuff that the Israeli government will put out. It's a 45-minute documentary that just chronicles some of the worst atrocities. I mean, people that I've spoken to, and I've been to war, I've seen it. It's horrible. And the stuff you see never leaves you. And people who've seen it have never, they say it changed their whole lives. And it's just absolutely a whole different world. So if you just look at what's going on there, it makes no sense at all. But it always gets back down to what I say is hate is taught. And you talk about being brainwashed. That's taught as well. So there are forces out there that are doing that. And I just ask people to step back, take a look at it, and ask, what would you do if October 7th happened to you? What if it happened to your daughter, your son, your parents, your aunt, your uncle, people who were, the people who were killed, most of them were calling for peace. They were peace activists. They did all kinds of work to help the people in Gaza. The people who aren't helping the people in Gaza is Hamas, period.
Yeah, I could talk to you for hours about a million different issues because I find your takes fascinating. And I want to do a little bit of a pivot here. But as we're pivoting, because I want to talk about Little Angels.
Yes.
One of the things, you have been a very vocal person over the years. First of all, incredible career. You've made a couple of hundred films. I mean, it's insane how many films you've made. But you also have spoken out. What is the challenge? Are there challenges to speaking out? Has it hurt your career? I mean, you've been busy, so it doesn't seem like your career has been hurt that much. I'm just curious because you're not afraid to share what you believe.
No, generally I would say if I was that actors shouldn't speak out. I would generally say that because then it affects the way audiences look at what you're doing, and it could be positive or negative. And I would say generally that's the case. I don't fit into any clear box. I do a lot more than just be an actor. I always have. I say, if you want to speak out, but I'm open to different ideas and different thoughts. I would work with Robert De Niro in a heartbeat. I think he's a very talented actor. I can't stand his political takes. George Clooney is a buddy of mine. I love George, but I don't like his politics. I don't agree with him. Rob Reiner, great filmmaker. Don't agree with his politics, but I'll call them out when they say something stupid or do something or chide them or whatever. But I still, as a human being, Sean Penn, I grew up with Sean Penn, grew up with him. Our parents were best friends. I love Sean. If he was getting beat in a bar fight, I would get in there and protect him and get him out of there. You know what I mean? But that's just, I think, common decency. I don't think that when actors do, present a point of view, they can make them look terrible. People go, oh, they suck. This is awful. I'm not going to watch their movies. I've had plenty of people do that and say that about me. Okay, that's fine. I did play Superman, which is, it's funny because they're like, oh, the Superman. And then it'd be a picture of me and they'd be like, not you. I would argue that my views and the things that I've said align more with Superman than anything else. Truth, justice, and the American way. And the American way is individual rights, individual freedoms, protection from the government so you can have a fair playing ground so the government can't say only Billy can sell water. You know what I mean? So that kind of stuff. And then the ability to make a great career for yourself and your family and have that security to be free to speak your mind and do whatever, and then be able to pass that down to the next generation and all your family and share that wealth. That's what everybody comes here for. That's the American way. Small town, American values, the way that Superman was raised in the comics. I happen to have been raised the same way. I'm adopted, and my dad's he's a small town South Dakota farmer. But I don't think that actors generally should say too much politically. I just happen to go against the grain because I host Fox News. I host the Today Show.
You've done everything. You've done everything.
I'm a sworn deputy sheriff, and I'm current. I'm a reserve police officer in Pocatello, Idaho. And
I did not know that, by the way. Wait a minute. I didn't know that.
I'm the board of directors for the NRA. That's current. I mean, I'm open about these views because I think they're important as an American. And if somebody doesn't want to watch my movies because of that, that's okay. But I think it's closed-minded. Like,
I mean, here you are. You just detailed people you don't agree with. I just have to say this, like, you just detailed people you don't necessarily agree with in the industry who are your friends. I mean, this is a lost art of being friends with people we disagree with. I don't understand why this is so tough for people. More
dialogue is the answer. Being open to have conversations with people with whom you disagree and remain civil, that is the answer. And there are people who are pushing it the other direction. And that's unfortunate. That's why we have the violence break out all the time. That's why you have crazy people. And I say crazy because they've been brainwashed, going out and going out and shooting the two people who worked at the Jewish consulate, in New York City. The absolute idiot who threw Molotov cocktails in Boulder, Colorado. I mean, that kind of stuff is insane. And it's because of this kind of rhetoric and this kind of brainwashing, honestly.
Well, there's so much more. I mean, gosh, we have to do another hour at some point on all of this, but I do want to talk about the film. I want to talk about Little Angels because this is your latest film. Yeah, quite a shift. I know. We went from the world on fire. And by the way, I covered the Gosnell trial. I was in that courtroom with him, so I know that case well. And obviously I've seen the film. And I know the filmmakers well. That was a horrific case in every way. It's actually something that haunts me still as I think about being in that courtroom. But I mean, I'm sure for you having been in the film, it haunts you, right? Those details are just
if you
insane.
Think about the real, if you can divorce yourself from it, you can kind of go, this is what happened. But when you think about the reality of what took place, these babies, and it is so horrific. Yeah, I can't imagine. Bless you for being in the courtroom and for sharing that and shining a light on it because it's horrific.
It is. Okay, so we're gonna pivot into this. I know it's a hard pivot because
we talk about the part of life, shall we?
Let's talk about the happy part of life here. This film, Little Angels. Tell us about what people can expect from this movie.
Okay, so to switch gears completely from all that darkness, Little Angels is a lot of light. It is I've heard it called a comedy. I've heard it called a sports movie. It is a sports movie. It is a comedy. It's a lot of fun. It is the story of a college football coach, like a Nick Saban, who's won the national championship multiple times. And he says something about female athletes because they have to bring in a female kicker to kick an extra point in the national championship to make history because they've already got the game won. He just does it, says it's a publicity stunt. She was a soccer player. We're in America. Soccer's for girls. Okay, that's a huge upheaval. He gets suspended. And in order to get his job back, which is a lot of money, he has to go and coach under 13-year-old girls soccer. He doesn't like kids and he doesn't like soccer. None of it aligns with his worldview. And it's the opposite of being brainwashed. In this sense, he goes through and works with these kids. And at first his motives are not too altruistic, if you will. But as he starts to know these kids and starts to coach them and starts to root for them and starts to care about them, he changes. He changes them, turns them sort of into winners. They change him and turn him into a human being by showing him grace and having him. He's never worked with kids before. He works with hardened college athletes, young men who you can just say run into the wall and they go, which wall? And they'll run into it. These kids, he has to talk to these girls. It's not used to it. And it makes him a better person. They make him a better person. And he teaches them some of the things that he has that makes them, a winning team, and more about team and family. The response has been unbelievable. We screened it last week it was a home crowd. It was our cast and crew and everybody, and they went bananas. And it was, I've never heard such screaming and cheering during a game and laughter. And so I'm ecstatic. It's out in theaters now, in limited theaters. So you can go to littleangelsmovie.com and then click theaters, put in your zip code. If it's in your area, go see it there. If it's not, hit demand. Otherwise, it'll be out in streaming in a few weeks. And I think it'll do very well streaming-wise. It's hard in this Mission Impossible theater environment, which has, 4,000. Lilo and Stitch has 5,000 theater. Those are the big tent poles. And that's kind of what theaters have become, which is unfortunate because you only have a very limited amount of stuff to go to the theaters and see. However, when it comes out streaming, I think it's gonna be watched over and over and over again. And I just went on a 5-minute soliloquy, so I apologize.
I love it. No, I love it. I mean, that's all the information we want to know. I think it's great. And we talked about the Gosnell movie, very different from Little Angels. You do a lot of different themes and projects. When it comes to Little Angels and just your films in general, what was it that attracted you to this film, and what typically attracts you to, obviously, both making and starring in films?
It just depends. Sometimes it's a buddy who's like, I'm making this film. I need you to come and be a bad guy. I need you to come and be a lawyer. I need some help here. Or it's just a great character within a film. Or maybe it's, I want to be in Bulgaria, because I want to get over to my house in Spain. I mean, there's a million different reasons why you do it. It's not always because I'm an artiste and this is the greatest thing. And look, that's great for some people and some folks. That's wonderful. It's a part of who I am, I'm able to make these movies and do these television shows and make these documentaries, but it's not all of who I am. So I like to, when I made Hate Among Us, for example, we were in Israel, we were in Jordan. I was out there. I was in Iraq in 2005 with our men and women, our military, and I was out there and I saw things I wish I never saw and experienced things I wish I didn't experience. But it changed my perspective on war and things and stuff. And so I just like to do a lot of different things. For Little Angels, I just was going to see my goddaughter and my niece play soccer against each other, and I would look out there and there would be like 5,000 kids out there and 10,000 parents or somewhere in that ballpark. And I'm just like, this is an absolute mob of people. And then I would talk to the kids. Well, what do you do the night before that the team get together and, and bond and watch movies? What do you watch? What kind of soccer movies are there out there? And there was like Ladybugs from Rodney Dangerfield, 20 years ago. And that was kind of it. And I thought of, I don't know much about this. I'm a football guy. I love football. I know football back, forth, and up, down. I played for the Buffalo Bills for 15 minutes. So I got hurt. I could explain that. That's another hour-long conversation. But I love football. I love the sport. I love what it teaches you. And so I was watching this and I said, well, how about if a guy like me, obviously I'll make me more important than like a Nick Saban. And how about if he had to come in and coach this? Let me think of a scenario. And then I went out so I just wrote it, raised the money, produced it, directed it, starred in it. And I pulled out some of my dad. My dad's a great filmmaker. My dad made Young Guns. He produced and directed Young Guns. That was then, This Is Now, The Principal, Pure Country, September Dawn. I mean, it goes on and on. And I grew up on sets my whole life. And so I stole his editor from the past. I pulled him out of retirement. I stole some of his music people. That's why the film looks and sounds so great. Great post-production facility at Kappa in Burbank. Just great folks all around. And so you can't do making a film and what this film talks about are almost exactly the same. You can't do any of it by yourself. You can do your part, but you're part of the larger group that gets this done. And it's all, and I say, it's about team. You're only as strong as the weakest link on your team. And being part of a team is like being part of a family. And that's what I want people to feel when they watch this movie. I want people to feel like, hey, I'm part of the Little Angels family. I'm on this team. I'm part of this family, and leave with a smile in this day and age where there's a lot more going on. It's good escapism. It's good lessons, I think. And again, it's a nice culture change from what you see on the news all day long.
I love that. The film is Little Angels. Dean, appreciate your time today.
Billy, let's get on again and do it let's just hash it up for a couple hours. Let's go. I'm in.